Joining us now is Peter Switzer, founder of the Switzer Report. Good to see you, Peter. I want to start on not aged care so much, but the ageing population that Josh Frydenberg was talking about this week. It's not a new problem. Treasurers in the past have identified it, but he's asking us all to work for longer. Are the jobs there?
Well, you know, I think that the trend for older workers actually has improved. There's a lot more older workers in the workforce. And I've got to say, guys, you know, when I'm not doing this wonderful work in the media, I am also a financial advisor, and I just say to my clients, the longer you can work, the better, because we've got this really big financial problem for older Australians. We're living too long and we're outliving our superannuation. So the longer you can work, the more likely you can keep your capital up. So it's a good idea to recommend people work longer. Whether the jobs will be there will be another thing. But certainly at the moment, the employers of Australia are actually employing older Australians like never before.
Yeah.
Okay, big news this week with Westpac, 23 million breaches, so just a few there, Pete. How significant is this for the industry? And this comes not so long after Commonwealth Bank had a $700 million fine as well, so massive.
Yeah.
That would be a story.
Who says you're working in the media, mate, with an exaggeration like that? But Pete, you know, look, I think the biggest problem, apart from the morality issue that, you know, they turned a blind eye to the use of money that they really shouldn't have turned a blind eye to, Brian Hartzer, the CEO, was probably the most gritty of the bank's CEOs and, in a sense, stood up to APRA and ASIC and even the Royal Commission. He hung on to his wealth management longer than others. And in a sense, Westpac showed more guts in terms of lending and all that sort of stuff. This is really going to defang Brian Hartzer, and he may well even lose his job.
But shouldn't the board as well, Pete? Shouldn't the board have responsibility here as well?
It'd be very hard for the chairman to hold his position, given what's gone on, and it's a big mistake. It's a big ignorance of issues that shouldn't have been ignored, particularly after CBA had set the example by being found out for making the same kind of mistakes and being fined so heavily. Because at the end of the day, the shareholders will be affected. The share prices come down this week. It may well eventually have an impact on the dividend. But there's also the economic effect that, if the banks progressively felt more inclined to be more bolshy in terms of standing up to regulators and lending more, that's good for the economy. This will make Westpac and other banks more sheepish, and a sheepish bank is not going to be as aggressive in their lending, and that's what we need at the moment. We need banks to be a bit more courageous to help the economy. So there's going to be an economic impact of this as well.
Yeah, absolutely there will be, and we're seeing rate cut after rate cut, another one flagged for February, but it doesn't seem to be moving the dial all that much. All we've seen a big boost in is property prices.
Yeah, exactly right. And look, I interviewed one of the chief economists at Fidelity, Anthony Doyle, and Anthony was saying that he believes that the old... I'm going to try something on you guys, but I am educating you on a weekly basis.
You are.
There's a thing called a transmission mechanism. So, and it's an economic term that we make, so you guys don't understand it, then you have to pay us to explain it to you. But basically, when you cut interest rates, you want to see how that transmits through to the economy and then leads to actions. Now, historically, I was interviewing John Houston earlier in the week, and John pointed out that when we both taught at the University of New South Wales, we teach our students, one of which was, of course, was Scott Morrison, that when you cut interest rates, it can take even 12 months for it to work. Now, remember, we only started cutting interest rates in June. So you've got that transmission mechanism historically hasn't been all that quick. And that's why a lot of people say tax cuts are better, because they generally work more quickly.
Either, have they?
So why have there been multiple?
How long do they take to work?
I knew you'd say that because you're right across the news. The tax cuts aren't working as well either. And I think that's because everyone's really spooked. As interest rates keep coming down, I think people are saying, what's going on here?
Yeah,
Are we heading towards a recession?
Theory as well, Peter, that it was the way in which they were delivered, as opposed to in Rudd's time where there were cheques in the mail.
Yeah. Look, all that, all of the above, and look. Even if the Reserve Bank had said, for example, on interest rates, we're doing this only because the rest of the world's doing it. Our economy is on the improve. Phil Lowe could have said. I don't know if he's right, but he could have said that and it would have helped the economy. And on the flip side, the Treasurer probably could have seen this as, this is just simply insurance. We think our economy is doing better than the rest of the world, and we are actually doing better than the rest of the world. I think the narrative has to become much more positive. It's been too negative, and as a consequence, I think consumers are playing it really rationally safe, and they're paying down their loans. I hope they've got a redraw facility on those loans because they can withdraw it and spend it when we hopefully show that the economy is actually heading in the right direction. But that's not really showing up at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah, but it will in 12 months.
I think the interest rate cuts and the tax cuts will affect. But
they won't wait that long anyway.
No. December 4 is going to be critical. That's when we get the next economic growth number.
Yeah.
And if that's not good, I think the Treasurer will start thinking about tax cuts. He hasn't said no, by the way. No. He hasn't closed the door on it. But December 4 is going to be critically important.
So would you give us a discount on your financial advice fees, do you think?
Well, we've got his book.
Yes. You didn't pay for that either. But listen, you will always get a discount when you come to me.
Good one.
Good to
Big
know.
discount.
Yeah, always
get that
great
on record.
talking to you on a Friday, Peter
Thanks,
Switzer.
Pete.